And I think that's because we're failing our youth in Dane County. I think we are. I think we got to do more for them. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable to do that to that child. You know what I'm saying?
For the past few years, Wisconsin's prison system has been steeped in controversy. Detention centers continue to be understaffed. Inmates have died without explanation. Reports of abuse have come out of Lincoln Hills, the state's biggest detention center for juveniles. It's practically impossible to get inside of a prison, but we were able to get inside of Dane County's Juvenile Detention Center to explore how they're handling things here in Madison. Albert Watson, one of the staff members there, sat down with us for an interview about the facility and Wisconsin's juvenile justice system as a whole.
Kids get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, all right? And school starts at 8:30, okay? The only reason why you wouldn't have school is if you would have court. And court is more important at that particular moment than school, because court is going to decide whether or not you can possibly get up out of here. You know what I mean? So that might give a kid some anxiety, so we don't want you worried about school. We want you worried about the court hearing that you have. So at 11:30 is free time, break time from school. They get a chance to make phone calls, they can play cards, they can play games, whatever, and then we have lunch at noon. So from noon to 12:45 is lunch and more free time. Don't leave that room for an hour or we have shift change.
Is there ever, like, during free time, kind of like fights that break out, or like?
Fights don't break out, arguments break out, because here at Dane County, we're proactive, not reactive. We have to be in position. We usually play cards with the kids. We're engaging with them. So if something starts to happen, if there's some beef or some drama, they're right there to nip it in the bud immediately. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it can happen still. You know, maybe staff isn't at that table and, kids start arguing. Put the fire out immediately. You want to break it up, okay? And separate. Then you go into your room. Once in your room and things have calmed down, then we can have that discussion. We can have that dialogue about what happened, what went wrong, what was the issue.
Like when you get back to their room with them, like, are you allowed to kind of be personal with them and like walk them through things, or is it more just sort of like disciplining them?
It's just let them know that everything that they do follows them to court, okay? And the objective is to get up out of here. And if you're in here fighting, how can they trust you when you get back into the community? If you can't get your shit together in here, how you gonna go? I mean, how is the court gonna let you back into the community, bro? Is what I tell them. And they're gonna be consequences because that's a violation. We don't do that up in here. But it's not personal. We understand that this child is struggling. We're also trauma informed. Mm-hmm. We have to be. But what good is trauma informed? Care if you're not practicing it. So I believe in trauma informed practices. Don't talk about this shit. Show me that you're doing that. Mm-hmm. Show me that you understand that this kid comes from hell and this kid is struggling right now. If we can hold you accountable, but let's explain what's going on. Let's have a conversation. Do you know what I mean? Let's just not put you in your room and be done with it. That's not what we do here.
Mm-hmm. Right. So what does that conversation look like? Does that like involve talking through what happened, talking through like things in their past, or do you never sort of delve into?
I don't want to talk about their past. Right. I don't want to, visit any triggers. All I want to talk about is what they're doing right now, what they need to do to get up out of here. You know what I mean? And it doesn't take, you don't have to be a therapist. You know what I mean? You just have the experience and good verbal skills just to talk to them. Yeah. Sometimes they might not feel like talking right then and there. Give them some space. Revisit it later on, or maybe even the next day.
Yeah, you talked about how you have like a sort of special relationship with the kids where you can kind of joke with them and like be real with them. Mm-hmm. How do you develop that? Like, what's your
I think it's practice. It's one where I can, be silly and goofy with them, but consistent, and they like that. Who doesn't like smiling and laughing? You know what I mean? As opposed to being a hard ass or militant. I have kids who have been in this facility 10 years ago who come to the lobby and ask for me. You know what I mean? And that's a great feeling when a kid is thinking enough about you. You made that much of an impact while they were in here. That they took the time out of their day to come up in here and say, hey, look, man, I just want to let you know, thank you, or this or that. So, and that's, it speaks for itself. So. Yeah.
Yeah, what are some of those type of moments that give you hope? Like, are there times where you see a kid come in here really struggling and then like 5-6 years down the line, you see them really thriving and doing well? And
most times I don't see that. What I see is them graduating to the adult system. And I think that's because we're failing our youth in Dane County. I think we are. I think we got to do more for them. You know what I mean? I think we pick and choose the youth that we want to take care of. This is a facility then nobody comes and visits our kids. Nobody. The 100 black men don't come up in here. The Boys and Girls Club doesn't come up in here. That's wrong. Why ignore our kids? There's other programs where they don't come up in here. And it's wrong. Everybody should be breaking their neck to come up in here and do programming with these kids. They should be, but they're not. And I'm one of those people that will put the elephant in the room and call them out and be like, look, y'all don't come up in here, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't care about the other kids you care about, but not the Dane County Juvenile Detention kids. So that's just my thoughts.
What about JP talked a little bit about like some community placement programs, and he said he'd like to see a lot more of those rather than sending kids off to like Lincoln Hills.
They've been closing all those placements up, you know, for whatever reason. And what I hate is when the reason why they're going to Lincoln Hills is because they don't have any other placement for them. I want to hear that. Find one. Do something. The girl that I was telling you guys about, the one that never had a visit from a social worker, she sat here from August to November because we don't have a placement for her. Really? It's over 300-some million people in this country. Get on the damn phone, get online, find a place out of state or something for this child. Stop telling us there's nowhere for nowhere for her to go. Who have you reached out to? You know what I mean? They always say that. So a kid has to go to corrections.
Can we get Jacob up to the invitation for a Zoom meeting?
It is. So.
Is a lot of that on like, the legislators in Wisconsin too, like state government and stuff? Do you think that they don't care enough about?
I think it always starts at the top. That's just my opinion. You know what I mean? It starts at the top, and I just think that people get used to the system, and you know what I mean, and they just accept it. You know, so I take it's our personal responsibility here to make sure that when you're up in here, you're good.